Hey.
Good evening, everybody out in ISTELib land. This is Okle Miller. I'm the co-chair of professional development for ISTE's Librarian Network. And this month we are talking about the network, the Librarian Network primary and secondary awards that we offer every year. The applications are open right now on our website. So we wanted to let all of our viewers know how easy an application process it is and how it's something you should really be doing to promote yourself and your library program. And it's a great way to get involved with ISTE. You don't even have to be a member, a current member, to apply for it. And one of the perks of winning is a year's membership. So we're going to do some talking with last year's winner of the secondary award, Diana Rendina, and to let you know a little bit about her. She was like I said, the winner of the secondary Librarians Network Award. She also won the 2015 AASL Francis Heen. Am I saying that right, Diana?
I never know exactly how to pronounce it, honestly. I think it's
Okay.
Henny.
I know, I wasn't sure. HENNE award. She's also real involved in her district association, Hillsborough Association for School Library Media Specialists, where she was president from 2013 to 2014. She is also writes regularly on her blog, renovatedlearning.com, and writes also for AASL Knowledge Quest. And she's been a speaker at a lot of different state and national conferences. And she's also my conference roommate.
Yay.
But that had no bearing on her winning because I didn't even know she had won until we got to the conference. But so I'm excited to have her here because she has gotten, we were talking before we started broadcasting live, she has gotten these application processes down to a science because she's also very good at writing lots of grants. So you kind of get in the practice of being able to reflect on your program and doing the necessary things to promote yourself, which helps your program and ultimately helps your students, which is what we're all there for. So I want to let her talk for just a few minutes, and then we'll kind of look back over the application itself. So Diana, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Okay. Well, you kind of did a good job with the bio there. So were you reading it off my blog or was that?
Yes, I was. Could you tell because my eyes were like glazing over and looking down?
No, it's fine. So yeah, I mean that kind of hit most of the major points. When I was applying for the award last year, I had actually only been with ISTE for a year. I'd first gone to the conference in Atlanta, and I think that was 2014. My concept of dates is all messed up. But that was my first experience with ISTE. So then the next year I saw some stuff about the Librarians Network Award. And I figured, like I'm all for finding any way to make conferences cheaper. And that let me get membership. So that makes your registration cheaper. So I decided to just go for it. And you kind of touched a little bit on some of the process for me, but I've done a lot of grant writing over the last couple of years. And I realized that a lot of the strategies you use in grant writing also really apply to going for awards. So just kind of like, I guess, a quick version of how I do that. Whenever I'm getting ready to start an application, I always try to give myself at least a couple of weeks before it's due. I never wait till the very end because if I do, I know it's not going to come out as good. And then I'm going to have trouble getting those reference letters and all those other different documentations I need. I read over the whole application, and in my Word doc, I make a little kind of like sections or pages for each part of the application. And then I read all of the requirements. So a lot of times they talk about like the mission and vision of the organization. They talk about like what types of things they're looking for. And then I try to hit all of those points in my essays or like the submissions, whichever, depending on the award, like what you're turning in. And that's really the main thing for me because it kind of gets you to reflect on your program through the lens of those specific types of requirements. Like, sometimes it's 21st century learning skills, sometimes it's collaboration. With ISTE, technology plays a big part of it. Literacy plays a part. So you look at your program and see what in your program fits in with those, and you make sure to hit those points. So for me, that's really the big thing, is just kind of planning ahead of time, making sure I'm hitting all the things I want to hit, and writing and rewriting. I get a second person to look over everything. Usually I ask one of the teachers at my school to kind of read over it and see what I missed. And that's really the main part of the process for me. The rest of it, like a lot of times they want a CV or a resume, so I always make sure to keep that up to date, which I really encourage everyone to always keep that up to date, even if you're planning on staying at your school for the rest of your career. It's still a really good thing to just have a nice updated CV with anything that you're doing. I mean, even if it's just writing for, like, your districts, if they have a newsletter or a journal, anytime you're putting yourself out there, you want to have a record of it.
Right.
And I mean, that's just good for us as professionals.
And do you have
Yeah.
your CV like on a online service, or do you have it just posted online?
My CV is a Google Doc,
Okay.
which makes it easier for me, because then at any time that I like write something new or do something different, present at a conference, I can just edit that Google Doc, and anyone with the link sees the updated version of it. And
Right.
I've got that linked like on my blog and on my portfolio page too. So when I do stuff like this, I just essentially download a PDF of it and upload the PDF to the application.
Let me see. What was I going to say? Oh, you talked about giving yourself enough time, because one of the things you have to do for a lot of these is get letters of recommendation. And for our Librarians Network one, there is a letter of support from your direct supervisor or chief staff representative, which for us in public schools is usually our principal, correct?
Right.
And then an additional letter of support from a classroom teacher. So how do you go about, well, maybe if you could think back to the first time you had to approach your principal. Your principal probably now has, here you go, Diana. He is probably so used to doing that for you. But how do you approach your principal the first time to ask for something like that?
Well, one thing that's good is that unless your administrator's really new, they're pretty much used to having to do, support letters or reference letters or things like that. It's just kind of goes to the territory of administration. To help my principal out with it, I look for what they're looking for in terms of the letter, because sometimes it's, your impact within the organization. Sometimes they want to see the bigger picture of the district and everything else, and my principal doesn't always know every detail. So I usually just put together a short bulleted list, just like something in an email, of some of the main points that she can hit. And it's not necessarily saying she has to hit every one of those, but it's just like here's what they're looking for, and here's some things that I've done in the last couple of years. And just a reminder too, because sometimes, with everything they have going on, they might forget stuff. So that usually helps. And I've found that, usually administrators are really appreciative of something like that, because it makes it much easier for them to put the letter together. And I love that ISTE the Librarians Network does a classroom teacher one, because usually they look for like another person in an administrative position to have the second letter. So I like that it's a classroom teacher, because you can pick someone who you work really well with and collaborate with a lot, and kind of get that teacher perspective on things, which is always going to be a little bit different from your administrative perspective.
That's true. Especially because some of these we've had, in the past, we've had two people win, like, oops, he's still there?
I'm still here.
I clicked, I moved my paper, and then all of a sudden I was gone.
Oh no.
Where, the collaborative part could be something that you're really writing up in your award. So being able to have that support letter from a teacher, like you said, is really important. Now,
and that was sorry, I just
no, that's okay.
interject in there. That was kind of exactly what I did with mine, because I wanted to hit on multiple collaborative projects, because I know for this particular one, collaboration is an important part of it. So with my teacher letter, we were able to touch on a collaboration I'd done with our marine science teacher, which was a really cool lesson, because we were learning about aquaponics, and the kids were making like Lego, or not aquaponics, coral reefs. and the kids made like little Lego coral reefs models as we were learning about it.
Nice.
And I wanted to hit that, but I also wanted to hit on the collaboration that I did with Colleen Graves last year, where our two maker clubs met together through Google Hangouts, and we did kind of a joint design challenge with our kids, and our kids got to share those projects. So it was kind of nice because with the word counts and the character counts, you're kind of limited on how much you can say and how many projects you can hit. So that kind of was the teacher letter was a sneaky way for me to get 2 projects in instead of just 1.
That's it. Yeah, that's a good idea. You're giving away all of your tricks now. Can you win 2 years in a row? I'm not sure about that.
I don't know. I mean, I'm going for the Outstanding Young Educator Award, so don't use these tips for that, please.
That's right. Uh-oh, we should have done this later. All right, back to the actual application itself. For people that are interested in applying, it is on our Librarians Network Weebly website, and it is embedded. It's a Google Doc. The beginning of it, I printed out a copy of it. The beginning of it is, I'm sure, let me stop babbling. As far as applications for awards go, this is a fairly straightforward, pretty easy one. So if you've never applied for an award before, this would be a great one to start on because it's pretty straightforward. I mean, the beginning obviously is your name, address, phone number, Twitter handle if you have one. How did you learn about the award? Then you do need to have access to Google Docs or Dropbox links, some way to attach. Your attachments are not being attached to the form and sending it in like an email. You're linking them. So you have to have your current CV or resume, then a short biography, approximately 350 words or less. And then, like we talked about earlier, the letter of support from your direct supervisor. And again, you're including a link to the letter. So the way that Diana was saying she has her stuff in Google Docs, you're easily able to get that share link and just paste that in there. And then a letter of support from the classroom teacher. And then you give a general overview of your library program. Again, 500 words or less, so you have to be succinct and try to get all your bullet points in there that you want. And then describe the nominee's libraries. Describe the role that the nominee's library plays in technology integration to your school. Because of course for ISTE, that's going to be an important point. And then again, that's 500 words or less. Then describe a project that demonstrates the nominee's abilities as a collaborative partner in teaching and leader in technology. So in that last question, is that where you talked about your design challenge?
Yeah.
Art, that was where you featured that. So you're right. So then if you had a different project that you did with a teacher, that teacher support letter can help play that in there. So, I mean, it's a pretty easy process, and then you just submit the form, and then you cross your fingers and wait. How did you find out that you won? Let's jump to that end of it.
I think it was an email first from Donna McDonald, who was the ISTE Librarians Network president. I think it was an email, and then pretty soon after the email, she tweeted it out, which was kind of nice because a lot of times with awards, you'll find out that you've gotten it, but it's not announced to the public for 3 months. So you have to sit there and wait and wait and wait, and you can't tell anyone. And this one, it was I think it was the next day she tweeted it out that me and Kathy had won. So Kathy Knutson being the elementary winner for last year. So that was kind of nice. It was a really good, quick turnaround.
Yeah, that would be frustrating. And I forgot to mention Kathy earlier. She was invited to join us also to give us her insights, but she wasn't able to join us because she's at her daughter's award ceremony for I can't remember now. It was a sports award ceremony. And as we know, family first. So, we told her that's okay, but I'm sure she would have had a lot of the same, insight of thinking things through and being reflective and trying to get everything in there that you need to get in those word counts. Yeah, that is good that it's a fast turnaround, because that probably would be a little like being the winner of Survivor and you're not allowed to say anything while the show's playing out. So that's good that once you win, you can let everybody know. And speaking of winning, where did I print out? This is why I don't win awards, because my disorganization is showing. I wanted to show, in addition, we said that you get the, here it is.
All the stuff you get.
Yeah, you get recognition at the actual, conference. You get a 1-year standard membership, which is like the nice, really big perk. Recognition in ISTE publications and press releases provided to local media and on the ISTE website. An engraved plaque acknowledging the recipient's outstanding achievement, and a gift certificate to the ISTE online store. Did you use that for more books?
I did.
Why does that not surprise me? But yeah, so I mean, it's nice. Obviously, the membership's really nice, but the recognition at the conference is nice too. You got to go. Wasn't there like an award winners breakfast or reception?
Yeah.
Something that you got to go to that I didn't? Yes.
There's different awards breakfast at ISTE, but the one for this one is it's the PLN Awards breakfast, because
Gotcha.
just like the other personal learning networks within ISTE, each network usually has some kind of an award they give out.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of a nice little event. They've got a catered breakfast and they recognize everyone. You go up, you get this really cool plaque, which I would show, but it's at work and it didn't dawn on me that I could bring it home from work today. But it's really cool, I can tell you that. And yeah, and you get your picture taken, and it's a nice little event.
It's nice to be recognized by your peers. Let me see, where was I going to go? And again, this information is on our librariansnetwork.weebly.com website. And it also has a list of what the nominees are judged on. So obviously, use of technology to help students develop higher order 21st century skills. Strong, clear explanation of a successful collaborative technology project, because I'm not sure why you would want to share an unsuccessful one. So pick out your best project. Reflection and recommendation for similar future projects, as well as ability to replicate the project. So we do want, this is not, I did this one huge, great project just to win this award, and then I'm never doing anything in my library again. That's not what we're looking for. Yeah. Evidence that the librarian is a technology leader in their school setting. And then again, ample support from administration and staff for the school library program, because hopefully that would come across in the librarians, your principal's letter, that they're supporting you and your entire program. Let's see. And your work reflects the mission and purpose of ISTE. So again, like how Diana, like you were saying, that you look at the organization's mission, and so you want to make sure what you're putting out there is matching the award you're applying for. That's always a good thing. Let's see, what else can I ask you?
Well, there was one other thing I did want to kind of touch on when you were talking about the different sections. I know in just about like any award, or even like a lot of grants you applied for, the biography is always one of the things that they ask for. And so I have, well, it's not really a trick, but I will call it a trick, that I learned from Gwyneth Jones. And I got this idea when I was looking at her blog and her about page, and she has like the short and succinct version of her biography, the medium version of her biography, and she makes it sound so much cooler than I'll make it sound, the like way too much information about me biography.
Kind of
I'm
like
sure
the
she says it much. more
Like the
clever.
entries in the Uncle John's bathroom reader. There's different, there's short, medium, long entries. But that's good, I guess, because I know potty humor in the middle of our webinar. But I guess your point is that way you're ready. You've already thought them through. So whichever length you need to have for your application, you've already got it. And you're
Yeah. And so that's what I actually do, is I have an Evernote doc. And for that one, I have the short, medium, and long versions. And then whenever I'm doing something like this, I can kind of copy and paste it and then just edit it from there to make it fit within the word count.
I know we've got at least one person listening because Donna just
Donna's tweeting us.
Yeah, did you see it? She's like, I found a picture of Diana Rendina with her ISTE award.
Yep, that was last year.
That's funny.
And now we're both on our phones while
That's
we're
right.
in a webinar.
Sorry, viewing public.
But if you're on Twitter too, then you can see that picture.
That's right. Yeah, because we will be hanging out. Oh, is that your? Oh, I thought that was like the top of your badge, but that's your award. With your badge.
Yes. So now, if you go to Twitter, you can see the picture of my award. There you go. You beat me to
it. My low-tech way of sharing it, as opposed to trying to share my screen.
That's okay. I had the same thing in mind.
That's funny. So good. Hey, Donna. Sorry I talked about bathroom reader. But that's good to always be prepared. Let's see. I still spoke too fast. That's part of my growth is doing these things. I always think, okay, this will take a lot of time. And then I go through my whole introduction of you and I look down and it's literally like 8:03. I'm like, oh, how are we going to fill in the rest of the time till 8:30? So what can we think of? Do you want to, you touched a little on the projects that you talked about in your application, because you had the design challenge stuff and you had done collaboration with the science teacher, right?
Yeah.
With the coral reefs. What are you working on now? What can we see in future applications from you, Ms. Rendina?
Okay, so let's see. Well, one of the things I'm focusing on now for the one that I'm currently working on for the Outstanding Young Educator is our Maker Fair that we do every year at Stewart. Because our Maker Fair at Stewart, essentially what we do is I have a group of students that help me plan different events related to the Media Center. And I also have a Makers Club that meets after school. So with those groups of students, we plan together, and we actually do start planning because it's about a month and a half out from now. We plan different types of activities and things that we want to do to share our love of making stuff with our community. So usually my kids set up a bunch of different stations, and we have some that are like interactive maker stations and some that are like make and take activities. And then we do demonstrations of things. And my kids run it all. I mostly just supervise and make sure that, no one burns themselves with the iron or pokes someone's eye out or, all of those good things that happen in maker spaces. Oh, yes. Middle school is very interesting. So, and, the nice thing about that is you're exposing your community to technology. You're exposing your students to technology in really hands-on, fun ways. And the kids are taking leadership. So I'm not the one standing there explaining like how a makey works or how to drive a Sphero. My kids are explaining that to everyone.
That's great.
And that kind of fits with that whole like getting the student to be the teacher. And that's the way you really learn and kind of cement the knowledge that you're getting. So that's kind of the project I'm focusing on now. And I'm focusing on the one we did last year, but we're already starting to plan this year's.
Well, and I know that's part of like 21st century learning, and Common Core has the whole like listening and speaking section of it. So them taking over and presenting, I mean, they're obviously having to speak and know what to say to an audience and how to respond back. So that's really great. And I think sharing that with the community, that this maker space, these ideas and everything are happening in the library. It's not in the, woodwork shop or something like that. Like that our libraries are still current and relevant, and there's great things going on. So that's awesome that you're not just, it's not just your school, but your whole community. Because I remember getting the invite last year. So you're like, letting everybody know to come out there. So I'll have to be on the lookout for it again this year.
Yep.
Okay, we got a few more minutes. Can you think of anything else? Come on, do the show for me. Donna said we had her giggling, so.
That's good. I'm glad we're entertaining at least one person tonight. You know, the funny thing about this is when I rehearse for conference presentations, I'm always a little excited when it ends early because then I can do like a Q&A with people who want to come up, and the people that were kind of like not into it can just like go to their next session. Hopefully there's not too many of those. At FETC, I was actually freaking out because I thought that my session was 60 minutes long and it was only 40. So I was like all excited when I rehearsed, and I was like, yeah, I'm at like 50 minutes. Like they're going to have 10 minutes extra that they can just like chill. And then I realized I had to cut 10 minutes.
Were you able to do it?
I was, but it was.
We can be fast.
But anyway, that's kind of a random aside. Other things about the application. One thing that I find is kind of useful in terms of applying for stuff with ISTE is to take a look at the ISTE standards. Which the student standards are currently being revised, but the old standards are still, really good and really relevant too. So I've been recently looking at both of those because a lot of those standards, it's kind of like Common Core. Like I don't have Common Core memorized, but my kids are doing stuff that fills standards. It's just a matter of seeing where it matches. So with stuff like this, I think it kind of fits with that way too, where you look at these standards and you're like, oh yeah, my kids are doing this and they're doing this and they're doing this. And then you kind of just like make sure to hit and touch on those points.
Right. And like use the same vocabulary that the standards are using. So it's obvious to your award readers when they're looking at it that they're making that connection too. Because I'm sure they have lots of applications they're reading through. Let me see, did it say on the website? I know applications are open right now, and I believe it's through, I want to say it's through the end of this month.
I know it's that way for the general ISTE awards, so I imagine PLN would be the same.
Yes, I'm almost positive. And the primary, like we said, this is two different awards, primary and secondary, so obviously make sure you are clicking on the right form when you are applying, that you fill out the right one. I'm scrolling back to see. It doesn't have a date on there, but you're right. I think it was through this month. Everybody can definitely go tomorrow. Start working on it. We expect a rash of applications to be submitted because it's not that hard. Take some time, think it through. Know that you have to have a way to attach your attachments, that you're attaching links, and then you're good to do it and hit submit. Diana and I will be hanging out in Twitter after this, probably more if you have questions for her. I'm just I'm just kind of the talking head. I have not ever gotten to win an award, but as the saying goes, if you don't apply, you can't win. So
So are you applying for this award? Are you allowed?
I don't know if I'm allowed to. I actually did think about that because I'm like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it might be good for me to go through the process to just, even if it turned out I couldn't, to do the thinking through it and writing it down. I'm sure that in itself is really good for your library practice because you're forcing yourself to be reflective and have to, think about everything that your program is. I'm like losing it now.
I totally agree. It's definitely a good chance for reflection. There's been other things like I did the Fallout Challenge last year, and I did horribly in the video voting because it's anyway, that's another story. But the nice thing about going through that process though is it just gave me a chance to really reflect on the whole program. And for that one, I actually did video interviews with my administration and some of my students. And it was nice because now I have that documentation of their perspectives of our makerspace and what we've done in our library.
Right.
Which, even though I didn't win the award, it gave me a really good experience and kind of a nice piece of documentation of what we do.
Right. And I just got word board members are not allowed to apply.
Aww.
Maybe I will, I can still think and reflect on my practice.
You're a winner in my book, Okul.
Well, we figured that would be the case, but you know, what can you do? I have to serve this way instead. So,
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are going to say goodnight to all of this, but we will still be on Twitter. So if you have questions for Diana or for myself, if you want to ask me too, we'll be there to hang out and direct you over to the website where the application is. And I hope that we do have a lot of people take the time to fill this out, because I know there's a lot of great librarians out there doing great things in their libraries, and we need to let people know, and this is a great way to do that. So thank you, Diana, Rendina, for joining us tonight, and we will meet you over on Twitter.
And what's our hashtag?
Hashtag, for tonight?
Don't we have a hashtag? Or do we not have a hashtag?
I don't know. Oh, see?
Because otherwise, how do people find us? Tweet at us.
Hashtag Diana Rules.
Hashtag ISTELib, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's our regular hashtag. Probably if we just use hashtag ISTELib, we'll find each other.
Or they could just tweet at us. I don't know. Whichever.
I'm going to be tweeting myself some pointers for next month. All right. See you on Twitter.
All right. Bye.
Bye.